Back in 2007, Jordin Sparks was set to be the next big thing. On her way almost immediately after winning season 6 of American Idol, she became the youngest winner in the show's history. And with countless hits out the gate like No Air, Tattoo, and One Step at a Time, her career halted and music was shelved. Fans awaited for a third album for years and years and years. But what people weren't privy to were the countless label setbacks, a team who didn't believe in her or know what to do with her. Movies, to TV shows, to dropping music independently. But she could never find her musical footing in the mainstream. So from label drama to her Christian faith, messy public relationships, to a career and sound stolen by the Ariana Grande, what happened to Jordin Sparks? Where is she now? Where did it all go wrong? Who's to blame? Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and welcome back to another video. We are back at it again with a heavy hitter. We are going to be talking about what happened to Jordin Sparks. A bright voice with hunger and a twinkle in her eye. Girl next door, PG image, but a great voice. What was there not to like? With opportunities and the honor to work alongside Whitney Houston before her passing, the world really seemed like Jordin's oyster. But as time passed, her mainstream career seemingly vanished. With numerous attempts to re-jumpstart her career, trying to step into her more grown image, it never really hit the same, with her almost becoming memeable at some points. So what happened? Today we're going to go through a journey of her time on American Idol, her career, troubles, scandals, because there are quite a few, and where she is today. Please comment down below, what are your thoughts on Jordin Sparks? Did you watch American Idol the season she won? Were you even born yet? That's a very curious question. Let me know down below. Hit that subscribe button. You guys know that I'm always working consistent content, trying to come up with great ideas and entertaining topics. So also make sure you put your input as well in the comments below on what you want to see from me. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So we're gonna start at the very beginning. Jordin Brianna Sparks was born December 22nd, 1989. An Arizona girl from Phoenix but raised in Glendale to be exact. The eldest of two, her father, Philippi Sparks, was a former NFL player who spent most of his career with the New York Giants. Jordin's mother is of European descent, while her father is Black American, so her biracial identity has played a part in the way she's been able to kind of navigate and identify herself. Originally born in Arizona, Jordin would grow up in the suburbs of Jersey around the time her father played on the East Coast with the Giants. But Arizona was always home base. Strong in her faith, when they moved back to Arizona, she'd attend a Christian school through the 8th grade. And this is important to note because with her growing up an evangelical Christian, she consistently attended church, sang in the church choir, and this would become a part of the fabric that made up Jordin's morals and guided her moves throughout the industry. Early on, Jordin had this longing to sing. Although she attended a normal high school until '06, she'd later be homeschooled by her grandmother so she could focus on singing. And her maternal grandmother would also become her manager starting at about 9 years old. Longing for the stage, she participated in audition in many talent competitions, such as Coca-Cola's Rising Star, the Gospel Music Association Overall Spotlight Award, where she sang for Kirk Franklin backstage and handed him her resume. Yes, he never called, and he still maintains that is one of the biggest mistakes of his life. America's Talented Most Kids, Colgate Country Showdown, and of course, in the Child Star Playbook, you gotta perform the national anthem a time or 20. So that's what she did, performing at different local sports games. She'd become a little local superstar. Stage fright, anxiety, Jordin didn't know her. Also, if anyone remembers or knows the brand Torrid, she was one of the 6 members for a Phoenix Torrid search for the next plus-size model, flying to Cali to be featured in Torrid ads and even snagging a full-page ad for the brand in a December 2006 issue of 17 magazine. But otherwise, outside of her local bubble, Jordin wasn't known just yet. And this was all prepping her for the platform of a lifetime, American Idol. So let's get into American Idol and her journey on the show, her journey to stardom. To some of your surprise, Jordin actually auditioned twice for American Idol in the same year. In the summer of '06, when she was just 16, she initially auditioned in LA, but didn't make it past the first round. Clearly, Paula, Simon, and Randy are not going to sit through 15,000 auditions. So the way that it works is you go to a arena. So in this case, in LA that year, they had their auditions held at the Rose Bowl.
You audition in the stadiums, they have a whole bunch of tents set up at the bottom on the field, and it's like 4 to a table. So there's 4 to a table, so you've got 10 of those, and then 4 people, so you got 40 people auditioning, and they all stand up one at a time, and there's like either 1 or 2 people sitting at the table, and they're involved with the show in some way. So they may be an EP, or they may be somebody around the back, or somebody like that.
To say, okay, who's gonna go to primetime? Who's gonna actually go to the judges table? It might be very talented folks, it might be the people who seem really funny or good for TV, but that is technically the first round, and Jordin was cut there. After being rejected in LA, she won a Channel 10 competition called Arizona Idol. It was a Fox affiliate, so they had this affiliation with Idol. And essentially, she won this competition, and it flew her out to the nearest audition, which was Seattle, and let her skip the line. So that's how she was able to get the opportunity to re-audition. Now, the Seattle audition is the one we witnessed on national television, airing January 17th, 2007. Now, to rewind just a bit, we gotta go back because I'm skipping some steps. It appears that she independently released a mini EP called For Now on August 29th, 2006, prior to American Idol airing. And a little backstory, I want to just iterate how big American Idol had become, captivating the nation's attention while still actually having the capability to produce stars. It initially aired in 2002 and became one of the biggest phenomenon. Viewers invested in telephone voting and campaigning for their faves. By 2004, it became the most watched TV show in America, holding the spot up until 2011, with Jordin's season being a peak in ratings. Jordin was actually inspired as a little girl by watching Kelly Clarkson's final performance in '02 when she won, and that really lit that bulb.
Yeah, well, you've been watching since you were 11, is that right?
Right, I've been watching since Kelly, and I remember telling my mom, I was like, I want to do that, Mom. I want to be on that stage, but I was way too young. I had no idea there would be this many seasons.
The point is, Jordin was around to really catch that American Idol spark. The spark that ignited and launched the careers of each and every winner up until that point. So when Jordin finally got that golden ticket, one judge in particular wasn't fully convinced, and that judge was Simon Cowell. Her bubbly personality, charm, and beautiful voice gained her a loyal fan base, with some people, however, finding her boring, with a maybe lack of stage presence, too church girlish, too clean cut. And I do kind of remember watching this season. I definitely do. It was just so long ago and I was so young. But I can almost guarantee you I was a spark plug. That's what her fans were called. But on May 23rd, 2007, at just 17 years old, she won the whole damn thing, season 6. At just 17 years old, becoming the youngest winner in American Idol history. 74 million votes were cast for the finale, which was record-breaking. Simon describes her journey on the show as being, quote, the most improved over the whole season. Didn't start the best, but midway through, this was the girl who suddenly got momentum. But Simon still maintained that one of her opponents, Melinda Doolittle, should have won. And Simon wasn't the only one that felt that way. Looking back, some folks have shared that they don't know how she won because her other 2 opponents were technically at that time vocally stronger. And let Jordin say it, she was 16 going on 17. She was still developing her voice, so there was some pitchiness that may have existed at the beginning of the competition, vocal strength, etc. that really needed to be exercised. But let's not get it twisted. We know that Jordin Sparks can sing her ass off. Regardless, the title was Jordin's, and this would be the true beginning to her mainstream career. She'd go on to become one of the most successful Idol contestants of all time. So let's talk about the debut. She released a self-titled EP on May 22nd, 2007, which was a day prior to the finale. So the way it worked, this was the first season that Idol was uploading the performance songs to iTunes for purchase. So the way it worked is they compiled the 4 most downloaded performance songs of hers throughout the season. These, however, were studio versions. They'd record those on the Monday before the Tuesday show. And all of the tracks are covers, except for her original song, or her coronation song, This Is My Now, which peaked at number 15 on the US Billboard Hot 100. A huge feat. She'd embark on the American Idol's live tour in 2007 after the competition spanning from July to September of that year. And with over 50 shows in 50 plus cities, this tour included the top 10 finalists, something that was quite strenuous in hindsight, being the only 17-year-old on tour, the youngest winner ever, so she was the headliner. She was expected to be at every single show. This would all catch up to her in due time. And Jordin signed to 19 Records and Jive Recordings
as well. So it was this dual relationship. I don't really know how all that worked with them, but I remember having to go into both buildings and like, oh, well, what about this and what about that? And you know all the politics that come into it.
And her official debut single, Tattoo, released on August 27th, 2007. And this was my song. You're still a part of everything I do. You're on my heart just like a tattoo. This was my song. I was an avid American Idol fan and watcher, so anytime someone won, if I liked them, I was tuned in. It was a successful debut, making it to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it would certify platinum in the US and Australia, selling over 2 million copies in the United States. Jordin came out the gate swinging. Her youth and freshness carried her radio presence. Then, her debut studio album, which is also self-titled, Jordin Sparks, released on November 20th, 2007, debuting at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 200. Keep in mind, it was quite common for Idol winners' careers to move this fast because they're beating time. They're trying to catch that relevancy because Idol recorded a season every year. So you had to pop off. You had a small window to make shake while people cared about you.
You know, your fans who voted for you want your music. They're like, where's the music we voted for? Hello. And you're just like, okay, gotta put it together. So you're trying to record as well as keeping your voice safe on tour. And then literally, I think it was September 23rd, we finished the tour, and I had until like second week of October to finish it. And I was just like,
but in this case, she was the youngest winner. So you have a 17-year-old overworking like hell. But let's talk about the breakthrough. Jordin didn't realize what was yet to come. She already had the success, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. Her duet with Chris Brown, No Air, was serviced as the second single from her debut album in February 2008, peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Yes, making it her highest charting single to date. And this also expanded past the pop charts, making it her very first entry on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. And the song was so successful, selling over 3 million copies, making it one of the highest selling singles of any Idol contestant ever. Keep in mind, the growth was organic. Her and Chris only performed this song once live.
Then it kind of just blew up. I was so pleasantly surprised with how well it did and got nominated for a Grammy, and like, you dream of that. So it was amazing.
So a lot of this was just pushed by pure hype. A lot of this was pushed by people simply enjoying it. This was before like widespread social media. So a hit is a hit. And let's give a moment to the album itself. I know a lot of you guys only know her from No Air or maybe some of her singles. The CD is somewhere at my mom's house. I was a fan for real. One Step at a Time, No Air, Tattoo, Freeze, Shy Boy, which was also a very kind of eclectic entry on this album. It sounded very Cassie styled, very Me and You. Now You Tell Me, the ballad. I enjoyed the album. Looking back though, was I 8? Yes. Were there some things that could have been cut from this album? Absolutely.
There were a couple on there that I was like, this is not me at all. Like I would never sing this, but I had to.
I have favorable memories. So in February 2008, she would sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl and later performed an Aretha Franklin tribute at the NAACP Awards that same month. Jordin was kind of intertwining herself with legacy, used as a representative to honor the great. She had the presence, she had the voice, and a few months prior in December 2007, she did a Diana Ross tribute at the Kennedy Center as well. So in the fall of 2008, we know that Jordin was kind of able to tap into two markets, being able to play into this more mature R&B space, but she also had this youthfulness, teen appeal. So she hit the road again and co-lined with Jesse McCartney called Jesse and Jordin Live Tour. Now, her album continued to be this debut success, so she opened on the North American leg of Alicia Keys' As I Am tour that began early April 2008. Unfortunately, A bad throat injury made Jordin cancel the first week of shows, birthing the headlines, will idol Jordin Sparks ever sing again?
Somehow the media learned about it, and it was on like page 6 or something like that. And I was just like, I'll never sing again, because I was still trying to figure out what I was going through. And so they said that, and then that kind of blew up and went everywhere. And I was like, now all these people are thinking I'll never sing again. Like, what? And so that mentally was strange, especially because I just started.
The threatening injury in question was a vocal cord hemorrhage. Yes, it's as serious as it sounds. This is when a vessel in your vocal cord ruptures, and this can occur due to forceful or incorrect vocal placement, and or can happen due to very grueling performance schedules, and I really think that it was the latter. We talked about this intensive idol touring schedule and nonstop having to capitalize on this moment while you have it, and she's only 16, still learning how to use her instrument. 17, my bad. Still learning how to use her instrument. She wasn't getting the vocal support that she needed, so she was required to be on vocal rest till she got better, and thankfully she was able to join the tour several weeks later. And we got to talk about her third single from the album, One Step at a Time, released in June 2008, which actually may be my favorite song of hers. The heels to open the track. The message of taking your time, hopefulness, and optimism. It resonated with the public as well, as it became her fourth top 20 hit on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 17. She is the only American Idol contestant to have her first 4 singles make the top 20 of the Billboard Hot 100. The song also had some global appeal, becoming popular in New Zealand, Canada, and the UK, as well as Australia. Now, to continue the whirlwind of the past few years she'd been having, Jordin was nominated 2 MTV VMAs. One for Best Female Video for No Air, Best New Artist. It was a big night for Jordin in several ways. We will talk about it. Sit tight. Sit tight. She finished the year out by winning Favorite Artist in the Adult Contemporary category at the 2008 AMAs. So now we're moving into 2009. Change was here. Obama was taking office. So Jordin kicked off the year by performing at the Commander-in-Chief's inaugural ball, hosted by the new president. First half of the year was spent prepping for her second album, but they needed to carry forth that momentum from the previous year. So to kick off the era, she released the lead single Battlefield on May 8th, 2009, which would reach number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. A powerful ballad that was intense while heartfelt. Her album, also titled Battlefield, was released July 17th, 2009. And it gets a little tricky here because although this album charted at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, technically a higher placement than her debut, the album was less successful compared to her debut. It sold less. I don't remember being as excited for or consuming this album, especially in comparison to her debut. Being that I was so young at the time, I can't give you like a solid reason as to why, but she was still on a run. Brand endorsements with Wet Seal, Avon, her own fragrances, while also being quite philanthropic as well. But can we also talk about how she should have had a headlining tour by now? To start performing the album at least, she opened for the Jonas Brothers on their North American leg in 2009, while she also opened for Britney Spears' Circus Tour during her second leg around August 2009. She was actually the replacement for Ciara. Now, Jordin's second single from her Battlefield album, released in the US September 2009, called SOS, Let the Music Play. It became her first song to top the US Hot Dance Club Songs chart, so we got more of a dance vibe here, and it peaked at the top 15 in the UK. But from what I remember, this didn't really make a splash like her previous singles did up until this point. The album's third single, Don't Let It Go to Your Head, which was actually a cover of another previous song, Jordin's version was released in the UK in January 2010. And I've noticed that when artists begin to see other success elsewhere, maybe in other markets, they begin to maybe cater or service certain singles over there because it makes more sense. And I think Jordin's team was utilizing this a little bit in this moment to kind of curb that momentum. But can we get a drum roll? Jordin finally headlined her own tour in the US called the Battlefield Tour, which began in May 2010 and ended in July. And in the interim, Jordin joined the cast of In the Heights on Broadway, doing a 12-week show through November 2012. She also got the opportunity to record her own version of Beauty and the Beast, the title track, as Disney re-released the animated film that year. And for the rest of the year, Jordin continued to make music here and there, but of course, questions began ramping up on what we could expect for her third album. And this is where things began to severely stall. The beginning of the end. Question mark. Question mark. In an interview with Good Day New York in November 2010, she did confirm that she started recording her third album in New York and Arizona, while it was also being reported in early 2011 that she was in the recording studio with John Legend. After another movie soundtrack song, she released a non-album single called I Am Woman in May 2011, where she opened for the New Kids on the Block tour to promote it. She also returned to American Idol to perform the song during the Top 4 Results episode. Now, the song debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 82. With the numbers alone, though, you guys can see the dip her career began taking. Again, numbers aren't everything, but when we look historically, it can absolutely paint a picture. It also didn't chart globally. Not a bad placement by any means, but when you came out the gate swinging, hit after hit after hit, your first 5 or so singles charting well above the top 40, the only way you can usually go is down, or things are going to naturally stall. This is where label issues, however, were made to the public. There was more going on here. In October 2011, RCA announced that it was disbanding Jive Records, the label that Jordin was signed under. And due to it shutting down, Jordin was shifted over to RCA's roster officially. And this left things up in the air. But we're going to put a quick pin in that, because while her music career was halting, she had to shift somewhere else and make money and pay the bills elsewhere. So she shifted into acting. In a way, it was almost like she was really following that Jennifer Hudson model. Maybe your music career stalls a little bit, but you find a lot of success and you have talent in acting fields and the musical field. And I think Jordin really probably looked at that as a bit of a blueprint. So we have to talk about Sparkle. In September 2011, it was announced that Jordin would make her movie debut as a lead role in Sparkle, which is a remake of the 1976 film inspired by The Supremes. This remake is set in 1968 Detroit. Detroit, stand up. We love that. I always loved watching this movie because I could point out like the landmarks. Ooh, they filmed there. They filmed at Baker's Keyboard Lounge. They filmed here. They filmed here. But Whitney Houston actually acquired the rights to the Sparkle remake from Warner Brothers around 2000, the year 2000. Initially, Aaliyah was in mind for the role.
Aaliyah was supposed to be, yes, in the movie. This was her movie. This was her movie. When we brought it to her, she was so enthusiastic about it, and she wanted it to do it so badly. She was our Sparkle.
But unfortunately, Aaliyah passed away in 2001, so that didn't come into fruition, and they had to put movie production plans on hold for years. It was said they even considered Raven-Symoné for the role and Ashanti for the lead role, but Jordin would snag it in around 2011. The greatest part of it all was that Jordin would be acting alongside Whitney Houston. And not only did they act together, but they also recorded a duet called Celebrate for the soundtrack, which is such an honor. I mean, Whitney is the greatest vocalist of all time. I can't even imagine the excitement and the feelings that come with landing an opportunity like that.
I think she speaks for herself. I think the face, the smile, the innocence, but the love for music.
Whitney was also really encouraging Jordin throughout the process because Jordin felt like she had this imposter syndrome. She felt like she didn't belong.
She came up from the audience and I was walking on the side. She goes, "Come here." And she put my face in her hands and she was like, "You're everything that we were looking for." And I just completely lost.
And Whitney really saw that sparkle, no pun intended, in Jordin. And the film released in August 2012 and was a hit in this household. I love that movie. Any chance I get to watch it, I'm putting it on. The soundtrack was to die for, with Jordin having several standout songs on the album. My favorite being Love Will. If you don't do anything from this video, go check out Love Will by Jordin Sparks. She absolutely crushed it. Jordin was able to spend time with her idol prior to Whitney's passing, February 11th, 2012. So Whitney unfortunately did not get to see the film release, but I will say that this was a major moment in eyes on Jordin and such an honor, an excellent career move amidst her music career stalling at the time. But where's the album? So in May 2013, Jordin came to Twitter to announce that she and RCA came to an agreement finally about releasing new music. She asked her fans directly to email their frustrations to the record label regarding this third album delay. Her promo single Skipping a Beat did officially release on August 2013, and she featured on Jason Derulo's song Vertigo from his third studio album in September 2013. We will talk more about Jason because he plays a pretty big role in the story. We'll get there. But Jordin announced to her fans that her third album was done and just waiting for the label to release it. But the holdup persisted when they announced the album would be pushed to early 2014 because of timing issues with acting gigs as well as her waning relationship with RCA. Remember, she was moved from Jive Records because it dissolved to RCA, and RCA didn't choose a placement for her third album in their yearly budget. When they moved her over, they said, we have other priorities. And she did not have the best relationship with her A&R, the person who was really supposed to help her shape her sound, pick these records, and push and advocate for her was not doing that. And Jordin explained this in a live.
And after I did Sparkle, I was like, okay, let's get into the studio. I'm gonna make some music. And I was doing a pop R&B. I remember going to the record label, going to my A&R. I had almost 50 songs that I had recorded. And I did not have a good relationship with my A&R. I did not. As a young adult woman, female, black woman, walking into his office, I felt like he did not understand anything that I had to say at all. And that was pretty much for the entire time that I was there. And I went in there and I said some not so nice things because they had just been dangling a carrot in front of me for years. If you can believe it, I walked in and I was like, first of all, F you, F you, F you, and F you.
Because Jordin was basically shelved. She was basically shelved due to RCA refusing to put her on their roster, saying that Jordin's acting deals prevented them from reaching an agreement.
So I started auditioning, and I had been auditioning, and I booked Sparkle, and then they turned it around on me and said I wasn't focused.
Okay? Mind you, like I said, she needed to put food on the table. She had bills to pay. What do you want me to do? Sit around here while I turn in songs to you that you will never, ever release because it's not good enough because you don't like me? Yeah, like she was between a rock and a hard place. So she was released from her contract with RCA, which is probably for the best because we know historically RCA has a very bad rep for ruining people's careers and curbing momentum. Because of this new deal, she had to scrap all of the prior material that she had worked on at RCA for her third album. She began re-recording and making new material in January 2014. And keep in mind, an official announcement that she had split from RCA and had been signed to another label had not been yet made public until about a year later in August 2014. So people were kind of surprised when producer Salam Remy took to Instagram to share the news that he would be producing the album and that she was now with a new label. She had previously worked with him on the Sparkle soundtrack. In the interim, she released a promo single for a movie that she was a part of called Left Behind, starring Nicolas Cage. And on October 23rd, 2014, her label held a showcase to feature her 3 new songs. It all just became a cycle of her telling the public that music is coming, a single will be dropped, and then everything holding out and stalling out. So as you can imagine, similar to like a JoJo story, fans just kind of slowly dip off one by one. During an interview at the 2014 AMAs, she announced that she would be releasing new music on November 25th, 2014, and her hashtag By Felicia mixtape released. Now, I don't know what this title was about. It just seemed very far off branding wise for Jordin Sparks, even including a remix of How About Now by Drake, seemingly taking shots at her ex-man Jason Derulo. We will get to his ass in a minute. Her third album would officially begin with her lead single, Double Tap, featuring 2 Chainz in February 2015. This was a cute song. I remember stumbling across this record thinking, oh my gosh, I was wondering what happened to her.
But you won't let it show.
No way.
But the song was unlike her previous records, very trendy, fitting in that like DJ Mustard style sound of the mid 2010s. Pop R&B wave. That's really where Jordin was trying to head. It peaked at number 25 on the US Hot R&B Songs. So it was okay. Leading up to the album release, she did a hashtag New Music Fridays to reveal the track listing, doing any and everything to promote this damn album. But we finally got the third album, right here, right now, released on August 21st, 2015. It was her first studio album in over 6 years. It was safe to say that the general public had become uninterested in her music. Not to her fault. I mean, maybe some people found her music boring, but she just wasn't visible. Despite that, critics did rate the project mildly, honestly, even with generally favorable reviews. Some critics even claim it as her best work to date, as this album took more of a 90s, early 2K R&B spin and approach, highlighting a level of maturity that maybe failed to exist in other projects because, let's face it, she was getting older, she was growing up. It peaked at number 161 on the US Billboard Hot 100, so it was not the comeback that she desired and was a far cry numerically from her previous successes. And Jordin knew that.
With that situation, it kind of was like the perfect storm. I was being helped out by Salam Remy. I was signed. We put the album together. It was great. I did everything that I was supposed to do at that time, like with the industry landscape, you know, do all the radio shows, meet everybody at the radio stations, rub every elbow. Like I did it all. And then it came time for the album to drop, and it dropped, but then there were crickets. And I was like, what is going on? Like what's happening?
Unfortunately, she had to part ways with Louder Than Life record label in May 2016 because the label went bankrupt, y'all.
And then the label went bankrupt. So then the album came out, but then there was nothing to do. How were we supposed to like do anything with the label when there wasn't any money from the label? So it was almost like I was independent.
Leaving her unsigned in music career in limbo, and that's essentially why this album flopped. Now, there were a couple things that I would say halted her career, okay? One, she had this very fresh image. I don't think her label properly prepared for her mature shift. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, mature shift often means sexualizing yourself, and Jordin just did not want to do certain things.
Staying true to myself and saying no to some of those things is part of the reason why some things took so long. You know, when you don't conform, right? When you don't conform, it's almost like, not that I'm a problem, but it's like an issue. Like, oh, it's somebody that we can't just tell what to do. No. I've been like that since I was 17. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to say. And if that doesn't fit into your thing, then all right.
And if we're being honest, when you say no, it's a longer path to get to the top a lot of the times. Two, there were also so many new faces on the scene, which we will talk about, but I think of like Lady Gaga really blasting into stardom, Katy Perry, some other people we will talk about. So in a way, maybe her music felt a little too clean, cookie cutter, safe even, in comparison to this landscape. Some people I even saw when doing research felt like her music kind of became stuck in 2009 versus really adapting to like this futuristic electro sound and the trendiness that the 2010s brought. And sometimes you got to play that game. But we are going to get to the section that a lot of you guys probably enjoy the most because everybody loves mess. The scandals. The scandals. Sit tight because we got quite a few of them here. You might think Jordin is like this church girl, goody two-shoes, but she's lived some life, okay? She's lived some life. Purity and the VMA scandal. Remember how we talked about Jordin's religious background? It was public knowledge that Jordin wore a purity ring early on in her career. She was vowing to remain a virgin until marriage. We know that Hollywood has this obsession with any information surrounding women, sexuality, etc. So controversy struck at the 2008 VMAs, and what was supposed to be a good night turned into blazing headlines the next day. The host, Russell Brand's nasty, made a joke about the Jonas Brothers in his opening monologue, mocking their purity rings.
I'm beginning to wonder, are the Jonas Brothers quite what they seem? Because if they were, how come I've got this little ring now? I mean, initially he was a little bit reluctant, but eventually he sort of saw that it was for the best. And let me tell you, it was an enjoyable and pleasant experience, and I wish the rest of the Jonas Brothers the best of luck, because over the course of the evening, I want a collection of these bloody things.
Jordin didn't find this promise ring joke funny, okay? So while she was introducing T.I. and Rihanna's performance at the Set Awards, she said, quote,
all right, I just have one thing to say about promise rings. It's not bad to wear a promise ring because not everybody, guy or girl, wants to be a slut. All right, so anyway.
And record scratch, because girl, what? It reminds me of like the what do you call it? The Kelly Osbourne moment.
Who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that,
no.
You know what I mean?
Like it gave that, like you're trying to make a point, but it's not landing. You know, like you're trying to make a statement, but you took it way too far, 0 to 100, at the point of just losing people altogether. Because I think most people could agree, like, should y'all be mocking teenage boys about that? No. But should you also be slut shaming? No. I don't necessarily hold this against her. She was a teenager. I don't really hold that against her. But she did double down on that comment. After the remark, she told Entertainment Weekly that she doesn't regret her comment, but she did say that she could have said it much differently, and I completely agree. And so forth, her virginity was a media talking point for a good while, for a long while, because we know the media has an odd relationship with women who haven't had sex, but also women who have.
You, from the moment you met till the moment you made out, how long are we talking about? I won't ask you to make out. I'm not gonna go further than that. How long to make out?
2 months.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'm not fast.
I said make out. I didn't say anything crazy. It just sounded like
I don't just kiss people.
It's fun being a woman. You can't win. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I had a purity ring. That was all anybody wanted to talk about after I was on Idol. It kind of like seeped into my identity. Once I was in a relationship, that was all they wanted to talk about. And
Did you take her purity ring off?
Yeah, it played a lot into my decision making on the type of music that I was allowed to do.
Many women are also conditioned to believe that they're superior, whether in the eyes of God or society, to have not slept with anybody or to save themselves, right? That's a whole conversation in itself. It often leads to shaming and policing of those who choose maybe to be more sexually free. And I think that was the whole conversation this brought up. It was pretty weird and side-eyeing a bit, but she was also like 18, 19. So I can't fully hold her to the fire in like good faith. Now we have to talk about the career she could have had. Ariana Grande. How does Ariana Grande fit into this picture? So for Jordin's third album that was in development starting around 2010, her label had no sense of urgency, as we know, when it came to her career.
Meanwhile,
Many other fresh faces were rising behind the scenes and being introduced to the mainstream radio. One of them being the one and only Ariana Grande. We talked about her third studio album, Right Here, Right Now, the one that was finally released in 2015, and it received generally favorable reviews, okay? With New York Daily News writing, while many fans have called Ariana Grande the new Mariah, Right Now makes Sparks sound like the true heir. That's right, she was drawing Mariah comparisons around the same time Ariana was really finding her footing and taking off. This all ties together because, fun fact, Jordin Sparks co-wrote The Way with producer Harmony Samuels, Seven Streeter, and others. The song was actually meant for Jordin's third album all the way back in 2011 when they were working on things. But the song clearly didn't make the cut, and Jordin confirmed she wrote the song about her then fresh, like new boyfriend, Jason Derulo.
You know, I was super inspired by him.
Ariana Grande's song, The Way, actually I wrote about me and Jason. It was gonna go on my record, and somehow people heard it, she loved it, she cut it, she did an amazing job.
So the public has not presented at all salty about the single being released by Grande. All of this timing really tracks because Ariana began recording her debut album in August of 2011. So Jordin's version was not yet fully complete and fleshed out. Producer Harmony Samuels flat out called Jordin the originator of Ariana's 2013 debut, Yours Truly. The direction they went with that album was initially the direction that Jordin was going to take for her third, a more R&B pop flair with a late 90s, early 2K sound inspo. Samuel said flat out, quote, Jordin Sparks is the originator of those records and the blueprint behind who Ari is now. My vision was for Jordin to be that person. You know, some people kind of took that as shade, But RCA did not see that vision for Jordin or the value in what they were making, hence them shooting down everything that she was playing for them. She probably played this record for them. So it puts into perspective, it's not like Jordin is that much older than Ariana Grande. She could have easily had another renaissance with this sound, but we can't lie, Ariana added her own thing to that damn song and that sound. She had like a lighter, fluffier tone over these songs, which became kind of her signature. It's not like they just copy and pasted all of Jordin's records and threw them on the album. Cut other records, working with Harmony Samuels on her debut, as well as Babyface, and also creating other songs. And another misconception, she didn't steal the records, Jordin couldn't use them. They were only as far as the demo stage, and it's very common in the industry to make songs and shop them around, right? Demos. So that's why you'll hear one artist singing a demo, and then it'll go to someone else and you're like, I thought that was, no, people just record demos, record snippets, and they shop the song around.
Just all kind of came tumbling out, and her team heard it and she absolutely killed it, and it's been playing everywhere. So thank you, Ariana.
And it's completely fair game. That's just the industry. But I do believe that this record, The Way, clarified the direction that they'd go with Ari's solo career, because they were lost at first. Were y'all there for Put Your Hearts Up? Because I was. And they didn't know what the hell they were doing. So Jordin years later would share a snippet of her recording of The Way.
Just kidding. We never got to finish it.
But I am not of the belief in general that Ariana stole her career per se. However, there is something to say here about how a Black artist, biracial artist, can cut these R&B records with maybe a little bit more bass and soul, and their labels laugh it off. Oh, we don't like this. While a white artist can come in, cut it, and it's accepted and considered maybe either revolutionary or it's gonna be pushed and played on pop radio. Seven Streeter, who was another writer on The Way, said flat out that she also wanted the song as well. She wanted the song.
As a writer, do you feel like you've given away a song that could have been a hit for you?
Well, I don't feel like I shouldn't have gave it away because I still got my coins. But Ariana Grande's The Way. That was a really, really, really big record.
It wouldn't have been as big for you though, because you're Black.
You know what? I won't even disagree with that. I definitely feel like certain records are bigger on certain artists because they are white. If I would have put that song out, would they have played it on, big pop stations?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
So we can't lie about that aspect of the social nature of all of this. But to play devil's advocate a little bit, in Jordin's case though, they also had different labels, y'all. Ari probably had a much better A&R, a better team, and a better record label. It all comes down to your team and your business. Jordin didn't have a good team, period, and it sounds like her team passed up great records and did not see the vision. And that's really nobody else's fault but her labels. Another tidbit as well, Skyscraper by Demi Lovato was prior meant for Jordin Sparks, with intention to be a bonus track on her Battlefield album. So it really details the idea that the industry time and time again passed Jordin up.
Perfect for her, and she sings it with such emotion. But they actually, if you listen closely on her record, for this song, they kept my background vocals in it.
There were younger, newer, fresher faces, you could say, that were already kind of had a leg up, whether in the Nickelodeon world, whether in the Disney world, and they were kind of given some of these records and given these chances to shine. I don't know, it was very weird. And now we have to talk about being unlucky in love. Jason Derulo. Jordin Sparks was linked romantically with Jason Derulo dating back to 2011. The romance was publicized as Jordin was this continuously budding star and Jason Derulo was consistently on the charts. I'm also sure for PR purposes it was very encouraged. Like, let's be real, did they probably like each other? Absolutely, they were together for 3 years. But did their publicists like the idea of this? 100%. It was also shared to the public that she may have ditched that purity ring. We're going back to that goddamn purity ring. You know what? I switch it from day to day. I don't wear it every day anymore, but I always have something there. So it had to be pretty serious, right? They confirmed their relationship in 2012. And after a 3-year-long relationship, very public, tons of red carpet appearances, etc., it said that Jordin wanted to get married and move their relationship further along, while Jason didn't want to. Mind you, Jason dropped a song called Marry Me in 2013, which was an ode to Jordin Sparks. He told E! News verbatim, "It's about Jordin, and it's talking about how amazing it will be when I get down on one knee, and it's going to be the greatest moment of my life." She also appeared in the music video, but Jordin does admit in hindsight that they set themselves up for that one.
And he wrote the Marry Me song.
Hey, listen, we set ourselves up for that.
Because it also created rumors and speculation that maybe they were engaged or maybe they were married. Around September 2014, it said they got into a fight. And it said that afterwards, she thought they made up. He walked her to the car, kissed her goodbye, but never called her again.
I asked him if we were good, and he was like, yeah, we're good, whatever. So then I leave, and he just doesn't call.
No call, nothing.
But he helped me with my bag to the car. He kissed me, he told me he loved me, and then didn't call. And so he wasn't responding, and I was like, okay. So then I just stopped, and I was like, you need to come get your shit. So he got all his stuff out of my house because he was living with me.
He said that he broke up with her over the phone while he was out of town. He admitted that. It was rumored that Jason Derulo cheated, and that had everything to do with their split. But Jason was adamant that cheating was not the culprit. But when Jordin was asked if he did, Wendy Williams, to get in the tea, she essentially said, no comment.
Was he unfaithful to you?
I actually don't want to comment on that.
Okay.
And Jason would be accused of cheating on later partners, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some infidelity happening here. And Jason would go to radio stations for a press run, if you will, discussing details about what their relationship was really like.
Jordin apparently made a big thing about her virginity at some point. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Was she a virgin when you started dating?
Yeah, she was.
Jordin even said the BMW he gifted her was a lease. But that became a whole Instagram spat because he denied those claims and actually posted pictures of the receipt.
You thought it was like a leased car, and then you dropped it off at the dealership,
and then he posted the picture,
and then,
and then he deleted it.
He deleted it. Like what? He even tagged you in it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I was going off of what I had been told.
Yeah.
Somebody that he works with that I got to know for the past 3 years. That's literally his day-to-day person. Texted my manager and said that this is what was happening.
Giving very much like typical exes, young love, tit for tat. Jason kind of made her out to be this desperate, naive girl. And the radio campaign that they were both doing was quite extra and gay PR, but especially Jason. So the relationship left Jordin quite scarred and publicly was the topic of conversation for some time. But this leads us to the next horror story, which is Sage the Gemini. Afterwards, Jordin got into a relationship with the rapper from around April 2015 to February 2016, so not long after her and Jason broke up. This one would be just as messy, if not more. It was confirmed that trust issues were creeping into their relationship, but it wasn't Sage who was the one who needed to worry, it was Jordin. In February 2016, his ex-girlfriend came out and said that he was still trying to get with her while he was with Jordin. Jordin, I guess the first time, kind of believed Sage. She was like, no, that's not true, that's not true. After a while, they would indeed break up because the evidence was really undeniable. So his desperate self went on a social media campaign to get Jordin back, long Instagram captions and all. Meanwhile, his ex leaked an alleged audio of Sage talking shit about Jordin and their relationship.
Everything was horrible. Like, she got on my nerves. I want to stab her. Like, all this shit. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, she cool. She level-headed. She whatever. But, but she's not no regular person. But all the other stuff that you heard, that shit was fake as fuck. Like, Jordin gave me $70,000 to put down on his house, whatever, So, of course, she's been here and shit, but...
It was so oddly twisted because why go on a public campaign to win her back just to know you were speaking horribly on her behind closed doors to your ex-girlfriend? It's sad because it feels like in both of these situations, Jordin was eager to be in these relationships and love out loud. Maybe she did grow up a bit sheltered, okay? Because especially as a religious kid, as I just mentioned, overly giving. I mean, she gave him $70K to put towards his new home. And he still talks shit on her. You can't just be doing that for anybody, right? So Jordin sadly didn't really know the game, I don't think. I think both of her exes kind of painted, and it furthered this goody two-shoes image. Like, she has no edge. Let's talk about life changes and her return to music. In February 2018 interview with OK Mag, she said that she was finally recording her 4th album, Unsigned at this time, she said the inspiration for this project was her husband and son. Now that's a major development. Let's rewind a tad bit. Jordin Sparks met her husband, Dana Isaiah, back in April 2017. And so one day he visited LA and showed up to her front door. And boom.
Wait a minute, how did he get that? How did he show up at your front door?
So, okay, side story. I had a charity for about 10 years, and every year we would do our big events around the Super Bowl. And we would do it a few days before all the big parties would come in. So we would shine a light on organizations that were making a difference in the community. So we met the directors, and it was Bridget and Dana Thomas, so his parents, but he wasn't even there. About a month later, my mom reaches out and was like, hey, Bridget's wondering if she could give Dana your number so you can talk to him about Hollywood.
After the public romance fiascos, it's clear that Jordin just wanted her happily ever after. So much so that she might have rushed it. Did she? The two eloped in July 2017, about 3 months since they met. And she'd announced their marriage and baby, the pregnancy, to the public at the same time, just a few months later in November 2017. It all happened very quickly. The wedding story is kind of wild. They were in Hawaii on a trip with their friends and decided to elope just days into their trip. One of her friends happened to be an ordained minister, and yeah, no set plan, no family, the ocean, marriage, and vibes. And this led to their reality show eventually that would dive into their daily lives, leading up to the birth of their son. Signing on for a Lifetime special called Jordin Sparks: A Baby Story, airing in September 2018. So she really let the public in. She had a very difficult pregnancy, however. At the time, she lost several people close to her, like her stepsister, her cousin, and 2 very close friends, one of them being a former Idol contestant, Leah LaBelle, who passed in a car crash, going through and navigating a lot of grief while also dealing with her first pregnancy. But Jordin gave birth to a healthy baby boy on May 2nd, 2018, welcoming their son, DJ. And it was news when she attended a movie premiere just 3 days after giving birth. Overall, there has been some controversy in their marriage. Okay, there has been. You know, some people thought it raised some red flags that he all of a sudden became her manager and her A&R. With what experience? There was also a very big scandal that was talked about on The View and talked about on multiple talk shows about her husband taking pictures with a high school friend that seemed a little too cozy.
Her fans were not happy with her husband, Dana, who posted this photo of him hanging out with his female high school friend. The negative responses piled up from people calling him disrespectful and telling Jordin to dump him. Jordin told them to calm down.
All of that they've gotten over the years, they seem to be relatively happy and strong, and they're trucking along, so good for them. But a hustler at heart, Jordin released a joint EP with singer Elijah Blake called 1990 Forever in April 2019, and in the same year she was cast as a replacement in the Broadway show Waitress for roughly a month. Keep in mind, Jordin had not released any solo music for 5 years at this point, but she returned with her single Unknown on June 2nd, 2020, and right after, in July 2020, she released her infamous single Red Sangria. And when I tell you guys she got clowned for this one right here, people were making Old Navy edits saying it couldn't possibly be serious. It was bad. It was pretty bad. This kind of culminated into the last few years. Where is Jordin now? As Jordin has slowly continued to release music over the remainder of the years, she has maintained that music is her #1 passion, and it always has been, and I believe that.
I didn't do this for the fame or the recognition or like the red carpets. Like, honestly, if another person never took my picture again, I'd be okay. Like, I just want to sing.
That the mainstream validation is not something for her that keeps her driven. She has been dropping music. It just hasn't really landed in the mainstream. Jordin Sparks brought a wave of nostalgia when Chris Brown invited her to perform No Air for the first time, and I don't know how long. Again, this was going to be the second time that they've ever performed it. I think she came out during his either Under the Influence tour or One of Them Ones tour in 2022. Again, they had a working relationship prior to his 2009 controversy, and she has kind of written for Chris Brown, which I talked about in my last video, over the years, to some people's dismay. She received a lot of attention for re-performing the song with Chris, And in later 2024, she gained more virality when she was in the crowd for Chris's concert while he performed No Air. And many people bombarded her with, "Girl, why aren't you on stage? Why didn't he invite you up there?" But she set the record straight on TikTok, saying she just wanted to be a fan. So in October 2023, Jordin released Call My Name, accompanied by a music video. I thought this song was like sonically pretty strong. I liked the direction of it, but it didn't really seem to stick or make much noise in the grand scheme. So back to the drawing board. Jordin has become quite intertwined with the TV show realm, which is no surprise since she got her kickstart off of a TV show. Back in 2021, she competed on The Masked Dancer and was a contestant on season 31 of Dancing with the Stars. In 2022, she's also the host for a roller skating show on Max called Roller Jam that aired in October 2024. Does anybody watch this? Because I have never heard of this before. Doing some music also in the Christian space, which I think fits her very well. She released a song with the gospel singer Chandler Moore of Maverick City Music and Anthony Garula called Constant. And that released in November 2024. Beautiful, beautiful, captivating song. They most recently performed it in February 2025. And she sounds amazing, pristine, clean. It's like she hasn't aged. Like physically and vocally, she sounds great. When the storm rolls in and I can't see out. Jordin has also released several Christmas EP projects over the years, as well as a Christmas album. And low-key, I feel like if they found the formula, she could really be on some Kelly Clarkson type, some Mariah Carey type shit, Ariana Grande. Like, come up with some banging, like some fire-ass Christmas songs and make that lucrative for yourself. I think she could do it. I really think she could. Jordin would perform at Motown Christmas TV special hosted by Halle Bailey and Smokey Robinson, alongside other notable guests like JoJo, Jamie Foxx, Ashanti, etc., which was filmed at the end of 2024. So she's kind of this jack of all trades, right? It appears that Jordin also wrote a screenplay called Quiet Storm, where she's currently looking for a script agent and script attorney to represent her and her friend, her writing partners, to bring this to life on screen. With finally her most recent album, fifth studio album, No Restrictions, being released September 13th, 2024. And in an Instagram caption, she says, quote, "I've spent many years crafting this body of work. Thank you for being patient with me and allowing me the time to grow alongside this project." The album unfortunately didn't chart as well as I think Jordin may have hoped, as a lot of the music industry relations have potentially severed a little bit or waned, at least the ones that like get the radio play and all of that jazz. And as for where she's at in 2025, planning her next moves, at the 2025 BET Awards, Jordin shared her future plans for the remainder of the year.
There's a Christmas movie coming this next season, and then I have a podcast that I'm starting called What's Your Spark. It's in the early stages. We've got I got my first episode down. I've been working on music. I have some songs I want to release for the summer, but I can't pick. And then I have some music that's coming out this fall, some collaborations that I've done that I'm really excited about.
So in conclusion, guys, regardless of it all, the ups and the downs, Jordin Sparks has a career to be proud of. Fought her way to stardom at such a young age, landed hit after hit, and unfortunately, like the industry does, the industry is gonna industry. And that's essentially what happened and halted her mainstream career momentum. But that was what happened to Jordin Sparks. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this might be lengthier than you guys may have expected, but I really like to treat these as a deep dive. I hate when people say things are a deep dive and it's literally like 30 minutes. Thank you so much for watching today. Hit that subscribe button down below, especially if you made it to the end. How about you guys do a microphone emoji, comment it down below if you made it to the very end. That's how I know you guys stuck around all the way. It's like an inside secret. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.